Hey guys, welcome to another week of crafting. Today I have a fun project for all of the toilet paper everybody's been collecting. With the tubes, we're gonna make something really fun. So this is gonna be our finished product. It's called a trivet, and we're actually gonna back that with some of this cardboard because it's a little bit flimsy as it is. But this is something you would put down if you had a hot dish or pot and you didn't want to burn your countertop. You'd set this down and put your pot or your dish on top of it to protect. Okay, let's get started. This is what you're going to need. You're going to need about 4 or 5 of these toilet paper tubes. You could use paper towel tubes. 1 paper towel tube equals a little over 2 of these, so 2 paper towel tubes would work, or 4 or maybe 5 of these. Or if you don't have any of that, you can do gift wrap tubes. That'll work too. And just cut that. Sometimes those are a little thicker, so they're harder to cut. You will need scissors to cut them with, and a piece of cardboard where you're gonna be able to take this and trace around it to put a backing on here. This is just really flexible cardboard, probably with the thickness of a cracker box or a cereal box, but you can do something thicker. Thicker it is, the more stability it's going to give it. You'll want a pencil, and then something to hold your glued pieces together while the glue is drying. If you have them, I recommend using paper clips. You could also use binder clips. If you don't have either of that, you can get really resourceful, and you could probably use bobby pins or tape. Scotch tape might rip it, but masking tape or painter's tape would probably work, and just put a little piece of tape on while it's drying and then peel it off when it's done. Okay, first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna take your tube and we're gonna cut it into about 1/4 inch strips like this. And these are gonna stretched out because I flattened this to cut it, but basically that is about the thickness that you're going to use. You can get about, depending on if you bought them at Costco or the regular store, the Costco ones are a little longer, anywhere from maybe 14 to 18 pieces out of that. And if you want to take a ruler, you can just make little hash marks at the 1/4 inch marks if you want to be really exact and cut on the marks. So this one I started already. I kind of squish it down a little bit to make it easier to cut. And I've just been eyeballing mine so they're not entirely even. So it depends on how exact you want it to be. And basically just cutting strips of this until, keeping your fingers out of the way, of course, like so. And the last one. So like I said, you can get around 15, 16, 18 pieces. These are 4.5 inches long, and so I was able to get 18 out of them. But I did have some shorter rolls that provided less. So you'll end up with a bunch of these. And all you're gonna do, you're gonna take one of these, grab some glue, Elmer's glue, craft glue, whatever you have. Probably a glue gun would work. Put just a little bit on. The more you put on, the longer it's gonna take to dry. So you basically need just enough to stick 2 of these together. So I'm just gonna take where the pointy end is, and I'm just gonna stick them, well, they don't stay. That's why you need something to hold them. There we go. So now I've got that held together with a paper clip, and it'll take a few minutes to dry. And what I've been doing is doing anywhere from 3 to 6 of these at a time. So you can add another one on. Just try and get the little pointy ends even. And then another paper clip. So now I've got a set of 3 drying, which is, this one's been sitting here for a few minutes drying, so that's what it's just gonna look like, a little lotus flower. You can keep adding. You can add, 4, 5, or 6 of them at a time, or you can just set a bunch of these down and let these dry. And then as they dry, you're gonna start sticking these together. So then, instead of having 2 separate 3 ones, these aren't quite dry, so ideally wait a couple minutes until they're stuck together better. And then I would just join these, only on one side though. You don't want to join the entire thing, otherwise you can't add more to it. So join on one side, like so, and then this side is still open. So when all of these dry, I'll take these paper clips out and then I will just keep adding more of these or more sections of these. So this is what it's going to look like. I think this is maybe 24 or so together. If you want to make coasters, you could actually do 12 and do 6 of these like this and do another one identical and then glue it all together, and they would make a really cute coaster for a mug. Or you can keep going. Like here, this is about 24, and so this is all dry. What I would do is I would just kind of bend it back a little to open it up, and then obviously this is still wet, so it's going to try and spring apart. But you would just put glue here, glue this one on, and then put your little pin or whatever you're going to hold it with in there, wait for that to dry, and then you would open up this side and just keep adding, and it'll get a little trickier as it gets bigger because it'll want to flop around and it'll kind of bounce back on itself. But you can get a couple of these sides going and then you can glue them together to make your final one. Your final one is going to probably have about anywhere from 60 to 90 pieces, depending on how much you cut up. I would say probably like 75 is ideal. That's about what this is here. And I could use it just like this, but it's a little floppy, and so to give it more stability, I'm just gonna add a piece of cardboard. So I'm gonna go around, I'm gonna loosely trace this, and then I'm gonna cut it a little bit smaller than what my tracing is because I don't want the cardboard sticking out. I want it to be kind of hidden underneath. So, and I would wait to do this till your thing is completely made and dry so that you get it the right size. So I'm just gonna cut a little inside that line to make sure I don't have any overhang. Okay, so now I've got my circle-ish, and that's completely covered. So you'll want to use wax paper or something under all of this gluing, otherwise your parents are going to be seriously unhappy with the way their countertop or table looks. And probably just add a bunch of glue onto here. I'd go around here since it's pretty condensed around the middle, and then maybe a little bit here and there, like so, just to make sure that it grips. Actually, this might be easier like this. I just don't want this glue dries clear, so it's actually okay if you see it through, because once by the time it finally dries, it'll be clear, so you won't see it anymore. Lay that on top. Okay, whoopsies, center it. So there's my trivet, and I would let that sit for probably an hour or so to make sure the glue is dry. When the glue is clear, right now it looks kind of funky because you can see all the glue, but it'll look a lot nicer once the glue is dry. And I might add a little more glue because I was not very generous with it, and I want to make sure that this actually doesn't fall apart. So it will be completely clear when the glue is dry. And what you could do is you could use it as is, or like I said, you could do a smaller one and make it into a coaster. And if you have spray paint and a tarp to lay under it to make sure you don't wreck anything, go outside since the weather's nice, and you could spray it whatever color you like. So white would look really cool, or black. You could just pick a photo or pick a color and then spray it, and then you've got a nice little handy trivet. And if you don't want the backing on it, you don't have to have it on. So you can just put your pot right on top of it. So the paint might actually help to make the cardboard stand up and have this last a bit longer. And if you don't want to use it as a trivet, these actually look really cool hanging on the wall. You can make wall decorations out of them, and you could spray them different colors if you want to do that. So that is our project. So now with all this toilet paper we have in this country loaded up on, we have something fun to do. And that's